suggesting that he come here and stay in my room.
Wes Anderson is one of those directors whose visual style is inseparable from his directorial style. You have characters who stand out against a flat backdrop, but that backdrop tends to be very richly decorated, colorful. Everything is flat, 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 flat. You learn about each of the kids and each of their accomplishments in these very two-dimensional tableaus. And what I think that does is make characters stand out in front of the backdrop. Particularly Margot, you can really see this two-dimensional, flat-on approach. Sometimes he'll tilt down across a surface, sometimes he'll track across a surface, but it's always the character against the background. We see Gwyneth Paltrow locked in the bathroom, in the bathtub, boom, against a two-dimensional backdrop. A wall, a tub, a TV. All of the information that we need to know about that character tends to be in that quirky frame. This game...
Chill!
One op 4 remaining. 15 seconds. 10 seconds left.
No!
5 seconds to go. Op 4 failed to secure the container in time. Mission success.
closet where Ben Stiller and his father get into a fight, and it's filled floor to ceiling with all of these board games, like from their childhood. It seems like so much of the detail comes from like very specific childhood memories. A closet full of games, or the tent that Richie, the tennis player brother, lives in. At the end of the story, Owen Wilson crashes his race car into the front of the Tannenbaum home.
Eli just crashed his car into the front of the house.
There is something that happens in that moment where that two-dimensional space breaks down and the story becomes human and connective. Now we're going to talk about Love Actually, Richard Curtis's film from 2003. Emma Thompson realized
protect the biohazard
she goes from her living
Secure the
room,
room.
which is colorful, and kids are there, like Christmas tree, and it's kind of like at the trunk and full of life and space. Each character has a distinct, incredible world, but we have to believe that there's something visually exciting. Another beautiful sort of cross-pollination. Laura Linney is in love with a guy in the office, and they finally get together, and her bedroom has a lot of blankets and without the settings, and in like a the guy comes up the stairs. It's like a damn surprise. It's Liam Neeson's face. His story involves his late life.
10 seconds to insertion.
Emma Thompson's role was very much in her bedroom. Just light with color. To make each character's
5
space
seconds to
specific
insertion.
and real. But I understand that, like Alan Rickman, who's Emma Thompson's
Op 4 hasn't found the biohazard container. They will attempt to locate it during the assault.
Hello, I'm Meredith. I've heard so much about you.
Now we're going to talk about The Family Stone, made in 2005. The director is Thomas Kazucha. This is just surprisingly well done. Sarah Jessica Parker, character named Meredith, comes home to meet the family of her fiancé, and they're a tough audience.
Something myself?
This is really a movie that is about the house. The choices that they made are real and messy. There is a sense of history in the house. I really admire the density and the texture. They have a conventional refrigerator, which has an ice maker. It puts it so oddly and firmly in a period, and I love it. Wallpaper is hard. For me, it works best when it remains texture. That really happens in this movie. The one exception, a little
Enemy
bit,
drone is moving into position
but I
for
think
scan.
that in Ben's bedroom and in the kitchen, there are these subtle kind of faded textures that seem to come from a different era and a different sensibility. The set's supposed to be background. You don't want any one detail to distract or overwhelm the story. And I feel like
Op 4 found the biohazard
layout,
container.
the appliances, where Diane's desk is, the sort of layering of it feels like the rings of a tree. That's how the history of a place gets layered by people who live it. It's really hard to pull off. So now we're going to talk about North by Northwest. Alfred Hitchcock's film from 1959, Robert Boyle, production designer. The film is about Cary Grant, who gets kidnapped in a case of mistaken identity. At the very beginning, he gets kidnapped to this huge house on Long Island. He goes to the United Nations. He goes to Grand Central Station. He goes to Mount Rushmore. He goes to this incredible house. The interesting thing is we never see Roger Thornhill in his house. The first house on Long Island, which is supposed to be Countess, it is a fantastic mansion. And one of the things that Bob Boyle does so masterfully is segue from locations into stations. We pull up outside of a real house and go through a foyer, which at first thought was real, but I think it's a set into a study, which is definitely a set. And in a combination of practical locations, well-designed and shot set pieces, and mapping, you sort of seamlessly believe that you're there. When we get to the you're in this house, which is very much inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright, supposed to be in South Dakota, with these soaring
Op 4, last operator standing. You will be detected if you remain in this area. Your location has been compromised. Friendly is victorious. Hostiles